Good afternoon, everyone. Being on the Innocence Project mailing list, I got an email late last night about the case of Walter Barton, who is due to be executed later on today, this evening over there in America. The email asked to tweet about the case, which is obviously what I did. Here's Walter Barton. Let me just screen share that for you. So here is the tweet showing, let's say, Walter Barton. It says, Walter Barton has less than 30 hours to live. Help us stop his execution. Walter Barton is set to be the first person executed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Help us prevent his death in Missouri. So if we have a look at what the article about him says. Got it up here, hopefully, ready to go. Yeah. So this is from the Innocence Project. Walter Barton is about to be executed. 6 facts you should know about his case. As I said, is set to be the first person to be executed during the COVID-19 pandemic by the Innocence staff, and specifically the email came from the Rapid Response Team. So, Walter Archie Barton is scheduled to be executed in Missouri on May 19th, 2020, despite strong evidence of his innocence. Barton was convicted of a 1999 murder based on unreliable evidence. He has always maintained his innocence. On Monday afternoon, Missouri Governor Parson denied Barton clemency, and Barton's legal team filed an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. On Friday, a judge granted a 30-day stay of his execution, but that decision was overturned when the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit vacated the stay on Sunday. He will be the first person executed in the U.S. amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. The Midwest Innocence Project, the Innocence Project, and the MacArthur Justice Center had asked Missouri Governor Michael Parson to stop Barton's execution and appoint a board of inquiry into his innocence. Unfortunately, he didn't step in. Here's what you need to know about his case. Walter Barton is likely innocent. Barton was convicted based on the testimony of an unreliable jailhouse informant and the use of bloodstain pattern analysis, a forensic method whose validity scientists have questioned. Nearly half of all DNA exonerations in the United States involve the use of misleading or misapplied forensic science, like blood spatter evidence. New forensic evidence points to his innocence. The only piece of physical evidence used to connect Barton to the murder was a spot of blood found on his shirt, which Barton has always said got on his shirt while he was pulling the victim's granddaughter off her body, a fact the victim's granddaughter confirmed to investigators. New expert analysis has revealed that the spot is consistent with Barton's accounts of events, and that the blood was not a result of spatter from the crime. Significantly, the victim was stabbed 50 times, and the real perpetrator of the crime would have been covered with blood, which Barton was not. The only other physical evidence in the case, hair found on the victim's torso and biological material underneath her fingernails does not match Barton. Barton, fact number 2, Barton has been tried 5 times and had 2 convictions overturned. Barton's first trial ended in a mistrial and his second in a hung jury. He was convicted at his next trial, but the conviction was overturned because the defense counsel's closing argument, which pointed out discrepancies in the timeline of the case, had been restricted during the trial. At his 4th trial, Barton was convicted, but again his conviction was overturned after the prosecution was found to have engaged in multiple acts of misconduct, including the use of perjured testimony from a jailhouse informant. This same informant testified at Barton's 5th trial, his latest to date, at which he was convicted and sentenced to death. The unit that convicted Barton is also responsible for the wrongful conviction of at least 4 other innocent men. Barton's case was prosecuted by a special unit in the Missouri Attorney General's office, which prosecutes capital cases throughout the state alongside or at times instead of the local county prosecutor's office. This same office was responsible for prosecuting Joshua Keyser, Dale Helmig, Mark Wordsworth, and Brad Jennings, all of whom were later exonerated. In total, these men spent nearly 60 years wrongfully incarcerated. Judges ruled that the prosecutors from this unit had repeatedly misstated the evidence, knowingly presented false testimony, and failed to disclose evidence in their cases. This office has now prosecuted Mr. Barton 5 times, leaving, as one Missouri Supreme Court justice noted, a trail of mishaps and misdeeds that, taken together, reflect poorly on the criminal system. Fact number 4. At least 3 jurors who voted to convict Barton now say they would have voted differently if they had seen the new evidence. These 3 jurors say they now have doubts about Barton's guilt and would not have voted to convict him if they had seen the new expert testimony about the origin of the bloodstain. In recent affidavits, the jurors stated there was not unanimous support of Barton's guilt when deliberations began. Barton has had woefully inadequate counsel, including one attorney who has since been suspended from the practice of law. Missouri is the only state attempting to execute someone in the middle of a global pandemic. Barton is set to be the first person executed since the coronavirus outbreak hit the US. No other state is seeking to execute individuals at this time due to concerns that executions cannot be carried out, risking the spread of the virus. So far, Ohio, Tennessee, and Texas have all postponed executions. The pandemic also calls into question Mr. Barton's ability to receive due process, as much of the work that should have been done in his defense, including interviewing new witnesses, reinvestigating disputed evidence, and filing new legal claims, has been put on hold due to the pandemic and subsequent shutdown. So there we have it. That's the incredibly bizarre case of Walter Barton. Is he innocent? Is he guilty? It doesn't matter. There's enough reasonable doubt there. The jurors themselves have said that they would have voted differently. It just beggars belief, doesn't it, that in this day and age, there are still people facing the death penalty. For one thing, is bizarre. Anyway, as I say, the email that I got was, as I say, said please share share and share. I will once again put the link to the Twitter page that you can put this on. Clearly, for me, it seems, and unless the governor intervenes at the very last minute, I was pretty shocked to see that that he was given a 30-day stay of execution, and then the Eighth Circuit overturned that ruling. Very dubious. Very dubious. Anyway, please, as I say, share and share alike, and get this case all over Twitter and anywhere else that you can post. And we'll catch you again soon, sometime. Okay, bye for now.